everyone, and welcome to At Home with Sinalia. Today, I want to show you how to make my homemade, delicious, yummy lasagna. It is a family favorite, and every time I make it, everyone absolutely loves it. Now, there are no fancy ingredients in this lasagna, but it is about the care and the time that you put into it, and the little things that you can do to make it just perfect.
If you want to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe.
Okay, so these are the ingredients I'm going to use for my lasagna. And again, like I said in the beginning, it's not so much about how fancy your ingredients are, but it's about, what you do with the ingredients that you have, the flavor you can bring out of them, and the little things that you can do to make your lasagna just perfect.
This is 2 pounds of veal stew that I got minced at the grocery store, but you can also buy the lean ground beef or lean ground veal.
As far as my sauce, I usually make tomato sauce for the year, but that one is way too watery, way too runny to make your lasagna. You need your sauce to be thick and chunky. And of course, we can add a little bit of liquid, but we need that base, that thick base. So I usually get the Classico, and it's the fire roasted tomato and garlic. And I've used it every time, and it's fantastic. As far as my pasta noodles, I like to boil my pasta noodles. I find that it makes a better lasagna. The noodles are softer, and it comes out way better. Of course, I'm going to use my mozzarella, which I will shred. And I always love to use ricotta on my lasagna. I've always used it. It's nice to find those little chunks of cheese throughout your lasagna, and it just makes it so much better. I'm going to use my onions. You will need at least 1.5 onions or 2 onions. You need to make a good base. That's the trick to your lasagna. It's the base. It's how you start making a lasagna. Okay, and then I'm going to use my garlic and my olive oil, of course. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to cook the meat. Now, in my lasagna, I don't like to find those big chunks of meat. I know a lot of people don't. So you need to really take your time with your meat, work with it, and make it nice and fine, and so that you don't find those big chunks. Now, normally, I use this utensil here to chop up the meat, but I still find that I don't get enough of those chunks, those big chunks out. So I'm going to show you how I do it. Okay, so I have my meat here, and I'm just going to put that in the pan. Okay. I don't use any base. I have no oil in there, nothing. I'm just going to cook the meat the way it is. Okay. So I'm going to use my utensil here to break up the meat. Okay. So this is excellent because it gives you that, consistency you need for now. You just break it up as much as you can. Okay. I'm going to turn on my heat. Okay, and you don't want your heat on too low or too high, on medium so that it cooks nicely. Okay, guys, so my meat is starting to cook. So I'm just going to work the meat. I'm going to keep working it and chop at it as much as I can. Okay? Because it's a lot easier to break the meat apart when it's soft than when it's fully cooked. So I'm just going to keep doing this. Okay, guys, so as you can see, the meat is cooking nicely, okay? And it's not as chunky, but if I get you closer here, you still find, those bigger chunks, right? So this has done a great job so far, but now what I normally do is I will take my wooden spoon, my fork, a bigger fork that I have, and what I do is I start working the meat and I start mincing it like this with the fork against the wooden spoon. And this is how I've always done it, and it comes out really, really nice. So you just go ahead and just keep working your meat and against the wooden spoon, and you'll find those bigger chunks, and you will just mince it against the wooden spoon here. Okay, and I will do that until all my big chunks are gone. All right, guys, now look at our meat. It looks so good. Nicely minced. You won't find any big chunks in here, and all you need is a wooden spoon and a fork that's a little bit bigger than your normal size. Now, I don't season my meat at this point, okay? I just simply turn off the heat and put it aside and move on to my next step. Okay, so this is going to be the base for your lasagna. That's what we're going to do now. So this is really important because this is where your flavor is going to come from, okay? So you're going to need enough onion, enough garlic, and you're going to need enough olive oil. I know a lot of people are very conscious of how much oil they use. Now, olive oil is actually healthy for you if it's the real, true, extra virgin olive oil, and that's what I'm going to use. So you don't want to see a watery lasagna. You don't want to see the bottom of your lasagna, watery. You want to see a bit of that greasy consistency at the bottom, okay? So we're going to start off with the 2 onions and 2 cloves of garlic. So we're going to chop our onion, and it doesn't need to be too fine, okay? Okay, guys, so I'm going to use my extra virgin olive oil, and I'm going to pour about, I eyeball most of the time, but about a 1/4 cup of olive oil, okay? So you're just going to sort of cover the bottom of the pan with olive oil, all right? You're going to start the stove and turn that on, and when that heats up, we're going to add the onion and the garlic. Okay, our oil is all heated up, and now we're going to add the onion and the garlic. Okay, we're going to give it a nice stir. Okay, and now we're going to cook this on low heat because we don't want to burn our onion. We want to caramelize our onion, okay? And this is where the flavor is going to be. So we want to make sure we have enough olive oil, enough onion and garlic, and we're going to cook it on slow heat. Okay, my onion is cooking beautifully here. Okay, so that's what you want. You don't want it to be burning or anything, and you don't want to stir it too much. Okay, you want to sort of leave it alone so that it can get that beautiful caramelization. All right, look at that. My onion is all ready. It's got a beautiful caramelization. It's not burnt. It's got that beautiful color, and I'm ready to add my meat. Now, I usually add my meat first because if I add the sauce, I might have too much sauce. So I add the meat first, and then I add as much sauce as I feel I need for the amount of meat that I have. Okay? So now with my meat, as I told you before, I cooked it. I didn't add any seasoning. And now I cooked it perfectly because, as you can see, there's still some water at the bottom of it. I don't want that water to go in. So I'm just going to squeeze the water out, and I'm going to add the meat here to our base for the lasagna. Okay, so now I'm going to add my sauce. Okay. Okay, a little bit more. So you don't want to add too much sauce, but you want to have enough sauce. Okay, so you gotta get that right consistency. All right, so I'm gonna add a little bit more. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I always like to add a little bit of water. So what I do is I usually add a little bit of water to the bottles and get rid of that leftover tomato sauce that's in the jars. Okay, and just a little bit there. Okay, so I think I have, as you can see, it's perfect. It's not too runny. It's not too thick, too dry. Okay. And as you're cooking it, if you feel that it's, too thick, then you can add a little bit of more of your sauce or a little bit of water. Okay. We're going to cook this on slow heat and we're going to add all our spices. Okay. So we're going to start with our salt. And again, I eyeball it, but I will give you the exact measurements on my recipe. I've got some oregano, some basil, my chili flakes. I have to have a little bit of heat in here. And my black pepper. And guys, don't be shy on your ingredients here. Okay? The more flavor.
At this point, you can add your vegetables to your lasagna. You can add your peppers, your mushrooms, any vegetable that you like.
All right, now we're gonna let that cook. Put the lid on. Okay, so low heat. And we're gonna let this cook for about a good 20 minutes to a half an hour. Okay, so while the meat is cooking, because that's gonna take about a half an hour, we wanna make sure we get those flavors and we get that onion and the garlic and the meat and the spices. We want all of those to incorporate and marry each other and get that true flavor. So while we do that, we're going to shred our cheese, okay? And I mean, it's a preference. You can get cheddar, you can get mozzarella. Just make sure you leave it in the fridge until you're ready to shred it because you don't want it to be too soft. And if it is too soft, you can put it in the freezer for a few minutes, 10 minutes, and it'll get nice and hard. Okay, so shred our cheese. Okay, so my cheese is all grated. And if you have leftover cheese, just put it in a Ziploc bag and put it in the freezer. And whenever you want to use your cheese, whether if it's for a lasagna or a pizza or whatever you like, you have it in the freezer. And I have my ricotta that's ready to use, and we're going to check on our meat. All right, let's check on our meat. Wow, this looks so good. And the aroma, it's incredible. Okay, so this is the way you want your meat, okay? You want to be able to run your spoon through your meat, easily. And this is the consistency that you want, okay? So it's cooking beautifully. So now we want to make sure that we taste it to make sure it has enough salt and enough spices. It just needs a little bit more of a kick. So we're going to add a little bit more chili. Okay. A little bit more black pepper. And just another pinch of salt. Okay. And it's totally okay to do that. You want to do that. You want to taste your food. You want to make sure that it's going to be perfect. Okay, and we're going to keep that closed and let it continue cooking for flavor. Okay, guys, I think our meat is done. And it is absolutely amazing. It is done. It looks beautiful. It looks yummy, delicious. Okay, I'm going to give it one final taste. Just make sure that All the ingredients are perfect. Just perfect. We're going to shut it off. We're going to close it. And we're going to set it aside. Okay, we're going to throw in our noodles. I will cook it all at once. We're going to add a little bit of olive oil. Not too much, just a drizzle so it doesn't stick. Okay. And okay, our noodles are cooking, so we're going to add the salt. As you can see, nothing is sticking because we added the olive oil. Okay, so our noodles are cooked. As you can see, nothing got stuck to each other. They're cooked beautifully. Now, we don't want to overcook our noodles because they're still going to go in the oven. So they're ready to come out. Okay, so now we're ready to assemble our lasagna. So now I always start with the base of ground beef. I like to coat the bottom of the pan with the ground beef first, then I put on my pasta. Okay. Okay. And now we're going to start with our pasta. We're going to top it with the meat. I'm going to put my cheese. And if you're watching your cholesterol, you may want to reduce on the amount of cheese you put in, or you want to maybe put the low-fat cheese, whatever you like. Okay, now we're going to take our ricotta, and we're just going to throw in the little chunks. Okay, and now we're doing the last layer. Okay, and now we're going to add that last layer of meat. And on the top, if you don't have, too much meat, it's okay. You want the top to be a little crispy. At least that's how my family likes it. I have just a little left of cheese, which of course is not enough, but it's okay because I have some in the freezer that was in the freezer, and I'm just going to use that. So now we're going to top more ricotta cheese. Voila! And our lasagna is ready to go in the oven. Now, your oven wants to be at 375 for about 20 minutes. And this is what you get, a delicious, yummy gourmet lasagna. Okay, so our lasagna is ready. It looks delicious and it smells heavenly in here. So I've cut it already. You can cut it into your desired pieces. So it's time to try it. Middle piece over here. Oh, wow. And look at that. Now that's the best part is trying it. But as you can see, it didn't fall apart when I took it out of the dish. And it's all together and it doesn't look dry. It looks nice and moist. So time to try it. Mmm. Mmm. You know, every time I make it, I always say, this is the best time I've made it. This is the best time I've made it. It is absolutely amazing. Look at this. Did you see what I told you about? You don't want that watery consistency at the bottom of the pan. You want to see this, a bit of the greasiness at the bottom of the plate. And that's exactly what we got. Well, I'm just gonna continue on eating and I will see you all next time.